My brother and Sil put my unknowing teenage niece into a lifetime of debt. My bro and Sil are extremely irresponsible with money to the point they have already been bankrupt twice and are working on a 3 right now. It just hasn't been enough years yet since the last time. They both owe over $150,000 in student loan and credit cards. Plus, they owe more on their home than it's worth because they take out every cent of equity they gain, immediately saying they're going to pay off debt with it, but blow it on more impulsive luxury buys. They have 3 kids. The oldest is 18 and in college. I just found out that they took out massive student loans in the kid's name exclusively, way beyond what was necessary, and they blew it on themselves. They already scammed the kid out of her life savings last summer, buying her a car, but they pulled a switch on her by purchasing a manual transmission that she doesn't know how to drive. I know they did it on purpose because my bra wanted the new car for himself and said it was a fair trade to give her the old beat-up ugly minivan instead, but didn't give her the money she put up for the new car back. The in-laws set up a college fund for her as a small child, and every holiday, instead of gifts, money was put in. When it came time to use the money, she discovered it was all gone. They spent it all behind her back, and she had no idea until she needed it and found out. I just found out that they got her deep into student loan debt way beyond what she needed, and she hasn't even started her 2nd year yet. They thought Biden was going to forgive $20, so they went and blew through it thinking it's free money. This poor kid has no idea the magnitude of what they have done to her long term. They screwed up their own lives and finances beyond repair and just couldn't resist taking advantage of their own kid by putting her deep in the hole where she will never be able to pay it off or will be trying for the rest of her life. The career path she is pursuing is not a high-earning job, so she's already going to struggle with supporting herself on her own after college. I don't think she knows how much debt is being racked up in her name, and if she decides to quit school or choose another path, she will be stuck with a huge payment regardless. Tuition is super cheap as she stayed in state, so they could have easily paid out of pocket and avoided putting her into the same situation they are in. I am disgusted at the level of entitlement they have to literally rob their own kid out of every cent she had, which wasn't much to begin with, then proceeded to sentence her to massive debt for life on top of it, so they can keep spending frivolously on everything from eating out every meal, new tech gadgets, trips, 2 new cars for themselves, clothes, and home decor, etc. They owe my parents tens of thousands for all the bailouts to save their house from foreclosure several times. It would take all day to go over all the rotten, greedy, entitled things they do, but screwing over your own kid is next level. And they have 2 more kids to take advantage of coming up besides. The next story is, entitled parents leave child at church for free babysitting. I read another story recently that reminded me of this incident, which took place in the early 2000s. I was working at a large church, 2,000 members, and on Sundays I ran the audio and video booth. We had 3 services, a 7 a.m. early service, the main service at 10 a.m., and a late service at 11:30 a.m. Each service ran for about an hour and 15 minutes. One Sunday during the 10 a.m. service, the pastor's wife went into labor 3 weeks early. The pastor left in the middle of his sermon and the youth pastor took over. The youth pastor did a great job of taking over and wishing the mother and baby well, and that service wrapped up early. We had a quick meeting to decide what to do about the 11:30 service, and the youth pastor volunteered to give a sermon he had prepaid for youth group later in the week. It was his first time giving a sermon in front of that many people up on the big stage. He was nervous and rolled through it quickly, then forgot about the closing songs. So church ended at 12:15 instead of the normal 12:45. Everyone had cleared out of the church by 12:30ish. I shut down all the equipment and turned out the lights and went down the hall to make sure the lights were out in the classrooms, like I normally did. One light was on and I found Key, another church employee who worked in the nursery on Sundays. She was sitting in a rocking chair rocking a toddler, and I saw tears rolling down Key's face. I asked her what was wrong and she could hardly speak. She was so upset. She said the toddler's parents had dropped him off before the early service and never came back. The poor baby had been there for almost 5 hours. The parents had not given a contact number. All Kay knew was the child's first name. I immediately called the youth pastor, who quickly turned around and came back to the church. The child was very out of sorts, either hungry or tired. We had snacks but no food, and there wasn't really a place to put a kid down for a nap. I ran to get some chicken nuggets while they figured out what to do. When I got back, a couple had pulled in right in front of me. They asked where everyone was, and I said church ended early. They said, "Okay, we're just here to pick up our son." I wasn't about to get involved with the drama, so I just unlocked the door and let them in. The youth pastor was livid and lit into them. It turns out the parents wanted some time alone and had been dropping their kid off at church and then leaving to go do stuff. They'd been doing this for weeks, just dropping him around 7:45 a.m. and coming to pick him up around 12:45. Here's the part where the parents are really entitled. They got mad at the youth pastor for ending church early. They yelled at him for endangering your child and threatened to sue. The dad was up in the youth pastor's face, and I thought they might fight, but the youth pastor was a big dude, and I think they kept the dad from doing anything else. I didn't stay in there. I went into the next room with Key and the child and gave him the nuggets, which he gulped down. The parents finally took the kid and left. The youth pastor and his wife took us to lunch because we, mostly Kay, were still upset by the whole thing. I think about that kid a lot. I hope his parents didn't abandon him. I wish I had a follow-up, but as far as I know, they never came back. The last story is, my parents are next level nuts. Hey everyone, I'm a 16-year-old boy. I reside in Canada and want to share probably the most cluttered 3 hours of my life that all happened this morning. Okay, so picture this. I get woken up by my sister that I failed a subject and need to go sign up for summer school. I just say, okay, as I'm not too awake yet, but don't mind it. I then start to hear my sister belittling me and continuously abusing the fact that I'm inferior to everyone because I've failed a subject. I then wake up and get ready in a hurry as I'm not too sure what the best course of action is just yet. Shortly afterwards, I go get my phone, only to see 5 missed calls in the last 4 minutes. So I go ahead and call back. My dad then proceeds to scream at me about how much of a moron and a lazy a-hole I am, threatening to kill me and beat me up for being such a failure. That particularly triggered me, as I've been exhibiting symptoms of ADHD and autism, especially over the last year. So my sister has me sign up, which of course means more berating and insults, but I've learned to tune her out. A little while later, I try relaxing a little, as I'm still not fully awake and kind of overwhelmed. I get a call from my dad around that time. I shouldn't have picked it up, as he then proceeded to tell me I'm a lazy moron and that I'm an idiot for probably being the only one who didn't pass my year. I just ignore him and try to just power through, not giving in to his insanity, but the end really pissed me off. He sent death threats my way, stating, and I quote, "I swear I'm gonna kill you and mop the floor with you if I find out you're not doing math every second of the day." Obviously, I then start trying to shut down the conversation, as nothing of value is to be said. He continues yelling on about how I'm retarded and that I have a rampant attitude because I said ma instead of okay. Seeing as this literally just happened, I'm pretty shaken up and don't know what to do. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you for reading. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel. Have a great day.